Hi, it's Lee, and welcome to the Tesla Economist. It started to feel a little bit like Tesla have gone quiet. They have stopped innovating, producing new products, new factories, new growth, new product announcements, new reveals, or new battery sales. We still don't even have the Cybertruck in production yet. It can make it hard for an investor, especially as in the past few years we saw so much action, new factories, new cars, new batteries, and then that was it. Even when the new factories opened, we didn't get the same ramping speed we saw from China and expected to be even faster, what with the improved manufacturing techniques. Even when the 4680 Model Y was launched, it was disappointing. It was an inferior car to the 2170 version. This makes it very easy for critics or Tesla bears to talk negatively about the company, as from the outside, it can look very much like Tesla has just been sitting still somewhat, without even any major targets of growth this year relative to Q4 last year. But is it really likely that Tesla are just sitting there twiddling their thumbs, letting the competition catch up? Or Tesla perhaps doing extensive research and development, investing a fortune into processes, systems, technologies, products to make sure they get it all right? I think possibly what I am trying to say can be best explained by Abraham Lincoln when he said, "If I only had an hour to chop down a tree, I would spend the first 45 minutes sharpening my axe." Tesla want to ramp up to be the largest car company in the world. They want to make sure they sharpen their axe as best they can before they go all out. Besides, they have the time, as there's not yet enough battery cells available anyway. What's the point of making a massive factory to sell a low-cost car in the millions if they only have enough cells for a few 100,000 vehicles? It all takes time. It's much easier as an investor if you can see regular progress with the company. It becomes harder when you see what could be argued as relatively little over a year. Sure, we get told of major breakthroughs and how impressive the engineering is, how much cost it may save and increase production lines. But for most investors, or at least the market, seeing is believing. And we haven't seen any major engineering implemented, really, since the inception of the gigacasting. Sure, we have some 4680 vehicles with structural packs, but these are in limited numbers, and the specs are not close to what we were promised. In fact, a step backwards if anything. We don't, however, know how much they're costing to produce. They may very well cost a lot less to produce than the 2170 version, and it could be great to know. It'd be nice to see some real progress again, something that really shapes the financials. It can feel slow at times, and when the stock price feels stagnant. The stock price has times when it barely moves for a few years, until we see proof of the next stage of Tesla is doable and scalable. Items like the 4680 battery, FSD, and scalability to robotaxi. But also, we have a few more items on the horizon, namely the new factories, in particular, Mexico. Once Mexico hits various levels of manufacturing and the market sees it more believable that Tesla are going to launch a new vehicle in high production, then that is bait for the stock price. Eventually it will run when the market starts believing it. And ironically, what will likely make the market believe in the most is the stock price running. When the stock price starts jumping, it reinforces to shareholders and reminds them just how big Tesla could be. And if the market thinks investors are buying in again, then it should really rally too. So what I want to see from Tesla is just some evidence of growth. The limiting factor is the batteries. So I'm just wondering where Tesla are sourcing any more major battery supply in order to ramp up more production. Where will these cells come from? CATL have some factories they're building. Perhaps they'll supply Mexico. Or possibly there'll be a cell factory in Mexico too. I would like to know where Tesla are sourcing all these new cells. However, although Giga Mexico sounds massive, if it is making the compact Tesla, then the battery pack may only need to be 45 kilowatt hours each. To make 1 million a year of those, it's only going to require 45 gigawatt hours of cells, which is a reasonable amount, but easy enough to find with CATL expanding about 5 times that just over this year alone. So there should be cells. However, coming from China still, if Tesla or CATL were able to make them in North America, there'd be an additional $45 off per kilowatt hour, and perhaps that will be a surprise we get. that CATL is building a factory in Mexico too. But not sure about that. We all expect that Tesla will one day have their own plans to produce LFP cells. But perhaps they need to wait to master the DBE process first before they can scale it up any further. And no point in making a cell if it's not using dry battery electrode. In the meantime, Tesla are happy with everything they can get from CATL, and any excess is simply used in the Megapack factory. This factory is Tesla's way of consuming all the LFP cells they can with smooth logistics. So they have enough for all their vehicles, and any extra cells are sold in Megapacks. And there is still plenty of room for expansion there. So CATL can continue to ramp up, and Tesla can handle all the cells they can get. And it wouldn't take too much to supply Mexico. 1 million units a year, and probably another million the year after. So Tesla can keep growing even though the 4680 cells are not yet at the rate they wanted. However, we have been told to expect to go from 4 gigawatt hours a year run rate at the start of the year to around 20 gigawatt hours a year by the end of the year, which is enough for the Model Y to be in volume production. So there is still some more expansion happening there. Also, Panasonic have been investing in a 4680 factory for Tesla, which may be operational next year too, and give Tesla another boost in sales. So when you factor all this in, Tesla can still get past 5 million cars a year without 4680s, and still achieve this by around 2026. It would be good to see the signs of the path leading up to Giga Mexico, which feels like it really will be something that will take the stock price to another level as soon as they start production at least. Seeing a new model come off the line in a new factory for Tesla is a really big deal. In fact, it's never actually happened before. The first factory that was built for a new model was for the Cybertruck, as we are yet to see that come off the line. But no doubt that will also be another Tesla stock booster, very, very likely, assuming they are in somewhat decent quantity, perhaps 1000s. Aside from all that, there isn't really much reason for the stock to move much. In the meantime, nothing major. Even if they solve FSD, it's hard for the market to even understand what that means, and there's still the regulation to come through. I know we had the Investor Day presentation and outlined the future footprint for a lot of the company, but the stock price is still lower than it was back then. This happens with Tesla events, same as Battery Day, Autonomous Day, all of them. They don't do much for the stock price, sometimes the opposite. It's when we see Tesla making good on these promises announced at these events, then we might actually see the stock price recover and keep going. The only thing that may move it gradually in the meantime will be Texas and Berlin continuing to ramp further, increasing production numbers, as this is really the only place for growth at this stage for Tesla. The stock price could of course move if Tesla announced something like the new Gen 3 vehicle or an HVAC heat pump or something. They're always out of the blue events when it comes to Tesla. Basically, the stock price might be kind of boring for the rest of the year, with a few bumps when Mexico starts and Cybertruck launches. Unless macros make it move some other direction, I would say that Tesla are tracking for about a $250 stock price sometime later this year. I'd probably be happy enough to give around a $275 price target for this year. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.